What do you guys think?
My name's Abby Wright, like you just heard. I'm a film programmer here in LA. I'm also the director of Filth Fest. We are currently running a pitch competition and grant for $1,500, like Sonali said. So info is outside. Please enter. I'm so excited to moderate this panel with these incredible filmmakers tonight, and I think you're all anxious to meet all of them. So I would love if we could start by each one of you briefly introducing yourselves and letting us know what your primary role on set is.
Hello, I'm Millicent and I'm the director.
Hi, we're Jackie. I'm a director DP.
I'm Veronica. I own a production company called Agüita with
Me.
Yamela, also a producer and founder of Agüita with Veronica.
Hi, I'm Stefania. Lucchesi. I'm a production designer.
Hi, I'm Violet, and I'm a cinematographer.
Yeah.
Hello, I'm Luciana, and I'm a director. Yay! Thank you all, divas, for coming. I'm literally so excited to have this chat with all of you. So obviously, all of you do very different roles on set, but you also come from varying backgrounds, whether that's cultural, geographical, your identity. So I would love to know, for you and your work, where does your culture come into it, and how do you fit pieces of yourself into the work that you do?
Well, I'm not going fast.
I can go first.
Great.
I think for me is less of, it's not directly how you would imagine it. It's not like you can see it there, because I'm originally from Peru, born and raised, and moved to New York, and moved to LA. I don't think you can directly see it in my work, but I think as I've grown into filmmaking and I've experienced, different formats, music videos and live performances.
Sure.
I just really enjoy working with Latin artists and working in like the Latin side of the music industry. And I think that's for different reasons. Like not only we speak the same language, but also I think, like Spanish, but also I think like culturally, like it's a different part of my brain that I get to, enjoy. And it's music that I enjoy. It's a different, again, like just a different language that I get to explore. And like as much as I enjoy working within like the pop genre, hip hop, like all of that, there's much more to explore in the Latin world, and I really get to play with like Mexican like regional music, or like cumbia. Like there are so many more genres that I just get to have fun with that are like a little bit different than like in the American, side of things. So yeah, I think that's how maybe sort of my heritage like shows in my work.
I think on our end, I mean, I won't speak for Vero, but I think the way that my culture influences my work, you made me think a little bit when you talk about there are so many different layers and nuances to our culture or your
No,
culture.
absolutely, yeah.
So in Agüita, something that we try to do is that it's a company that's founded by Latinas, but that's exactly one of our points. We don't try to do only Latin work, or we do it global work, or we try to remove the myth of what Latin work looks like, just like you do in your work. And the way that my culture informs what I do at Agüita is, I think my country is a beautiful chaos, honestly.
Say where you're from.
Mexico City. And I think generally it's a beautiful chaos, and I always said that part of our jobs is to mold beautiful chaos into something that has shape and structure and has intention and has, a further like span of life than just the finished product. So yeah, I think that's a way that my culture shapes my work.
Yeah, about beautiful chaos. Beautiful chaos, like her. No, just kidding. She's very buttoned up. I agree with everything she said. I'm from Venezuela. I'm not from Mexico City. And no cheers for Venezuela. Everyone's like, is everything okay? Are you guys good? And Mexico City's like, hell yeah. It's okay. I love my country. It's complicated. It's a lot. What she said is true. But for me, when I moved to this country, I think I had a hard time grasping content that was specifically made for the Latin sort of audience in the US, because it was very skewed to Mexican audiences, because it's the biggest, I think, culture that crosses over here. And when I started working with clients and I became a producer and an executive producer, I had a hard time hearing from clients and from brands saying that they were speaking to a Latin audience, but kind of generalizing it and skewing it through the Mexican lens, which is a beautiful culture, one of my favorites, but it's not my culture, and it's different, and there are nuances, like she said. So for me personally, there's many ways that I infuse my culture into the work I do. One of them is I try to be very tactful and thoughtful about when you are doing Latin work, when that's the space that you're working in, or whatever culture it is that represents multiple countries, to be thoughtful about what that messaging is and making sure that you're not trying to whitewash or generalize what you're trying to say, and trying to be authentic to the audience. What is your audience? Who are you speaking to? And do you understand it? Do you understand what that culture is? And on another level, you're also trying, like she said, to not be boxed in into only doing that type of work. It can be a big opportunity if you come from a diverse background in this day and age. It can become an opportunity to be like, I can speak for this culture because I come from it, and that can be a place where you can maybe edge out competition. But it can also become a place where people box you in. And so there's a balance in the work and in the craft of how do you navigate the industry and honoring your culture and wanting to say what you want to say, but also not being fully boxed into. For us, for Agüita, at the very beginning, we started doing non-Latin work, but people assumed that we were doing Latin work because we were both Latin. And so it's still, honestly, something that we love doing Latin work. That's a big part of what we do, but it's not all that we do. And so, you know, it's a very long-winded way of saying that it's a multi-layered approach to the work that we do.
It's an interesting thing to say that it can be both an advantage, right? And then it can also be a disadvantage.
No limitation.
But like, because we all look at our diversity, you know, I think sometimes in this like current moment of like, wow, it's like so hard to be X, Y, and Z, but also like I had a moment, there is maybe just one spot on this like roster for an Asian woman. And so like that's what they're considering. And you also have to consider that it might actually be an advantage because there's a lot of white men that like are having a really hard time right now too. And we're going further from your question, so
it's okay. White men are having.
And so it's also this thing where like you do have to take a step back of seeing like I've had a lot of opportunity for my diversity, and you can also do work outside of it and bring your voice, which is much more than like your race or your ethnicity or your gender. Like your identity and your heritage is such a multi-layered thing. All of those things you're gonna bring your voice to.
I also wanted to say, in like the work that you guys do, I think for me it's also like when I've been tasked with, you know, working with like Latin musicians, it's like it's easy for, you know, sort of like the market to fall within like stereotypes and, you know, and sort of like think about Latin music and be like, oh, it's urban or whatever it is, you know. And I think also for me, like it's kind of what you guys were pointing at, where it's like it's so layered, and there is so much more that we can, you know, bring to those stories specifically, and then also like really go in depth. Like it's not like, you know, a Venezuelan artist will resonate with like, you know, like a Mexican color palette or whatever it is. So yeah, I think that's why it's like important to have, you know, these voices also on like the other side while we're creating, because again, like Latin America is, you know, and like the different cultures are like so different in like textures and backgrounds, and there's so much more we can pull out of it. So yeah, I just think I just wanted to highlight that because I think it's really cool to have, you know, those voices in on the creative side available to sort of like bring these other artists or stories, you know, into the spotlight in like a correct, you know what I mean, like a good, like a good way.
Absolutely. And I'm so glad you said that. And I think something that pretty much everybody just touched on was the fact that you're often boxed in and you're in fact a multi-layered person and you want to be doing multiple things, and people will try to box you in as a woman in this industry. And I think I want to hear from each of you, how do you deal with that? And how do you actually break out of that box that you're being put in to be your full self and do everything that you want to do?
I was just going to say, this question is not for me as a basic white lady, you know. I got no culture apart from stealing other people's, as the English are known for. So, yeah, I'll pass it on.
I think you can get boxed in many different ways. Obviously, there's
Absolutely.
ethnicity and race, but you can get boxed in as a type of cinematographer that you only do this one kind of thing, or a type of gaffer if you do high key stuff, or whatever your craft is. I think that there's opportunity. I'm saying I would love to hear a perspective of someone that doesn't have to be about ethnicity or your background.
Definitely. I think women in general are very boxed in a lot of the time. And I think since this industry is primarily men, we're often boxed in being in the woman box. And I think you can definitely break out of that to be who you want to be. And it's okay if you don't. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, that one's for me. It's really boring for me to be known as it's a female filmmaker. She's female. It's just fucking lame. I don't know. Maybe I should. I don't know. I don't know why I feel about that. It's just it annoys me because I am more and I have a lot more to say, and I like to think I'm pretty good. So I think I'm good, if not better than a lot of men. So I don't just want to be known as a female film. It's just, I don't know, it's boring. But yeah, I get that a lot as well with rosters and that type of thing where it's like, we've only got one other lady, so you'll be on there with them. And it's just shit and lame. I'm not contributing the intelligence over here, but...
No, you are. I think it's a great example because it's like, why am I a female filmmaker? Like, you would never say, like, that's a male filmmaker.
No,
so why do we say that that's a female filmmaker?
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like it's been interesting because I have wanted to be a cinematographer for so long. And I feel like just now, in the past, like, 7 to 10 years, there's a range of different types of female cinematographers, and it used to be that golden, the golden girl, and she would get hired for specific jobs. And I don't know, I tried to do my best to not think about it that way and be proud of being maybe 1 in 100 and telling the stories by like doing passion projects and taking the opportunities that I can, but also like refocusing and directing that and being like, what does my voice look like within that and outside of that? Because there is a lot of, empowering stories that I can tell from my perspective. But I feel like it was always interesting, booking jobs as like, we want your, female perspective, especially as a cinematographer, because I won't say all, but I feel like a lot of the time a cinematographer's job, especially in short format, is to, serve the story or the project in sometimes a very technical way. And it felt like every job I was booking was like, can your voice shine through? And I'm like, I'm down, but at the same time is like, there's this like I'm serving this director and now you're looking to me to kind of fill this, box maybe. And you know what, I'll take it where I can, but at the same time I've found like in passion projects and trusting directors and finding directors that have similar stories that they love to tell, I've just tried to like find my way. Yeah,
and definitely I love that. Did you have something you wanted to add, Millicent?
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say, you know, if they want that female perspective, then just fucking pay me more as well, you know.
Pay women more. Like, I
If
agree
it's
with
if
that
it's that it's if it's so interesting, then just give me more money, please.
But also just sort of jumping on what you're saying, I feel like the way of breaking out of the box is just to make work that you connect with. And like, you also have to do the work to build your own voice, and that's not up to anyone else. So other people might find a box, but as soon as you are able to do that passion project and you break that box and you do a different style and you do a different type of work, like, you are your own author, I think. And I think something that's really important is you have to have an awareness of how you want to be seen and how you want to sort of craft your own voice and not sort of let other people do it for you, because that's taking the authority and the agency away from you.
Yeah.
Wait, so, sorry, I have a question on that.
Yeah.
Because it's interesting. Not that I want to box your work, but I would say a lot of your work, the reason why I also connect with it, it's very like humane. It feels very tactile. It feels very intimate. It feels very, it just feels very real, so to speak. So, for example, speaking of like the authorial, like authorial, how do you say authorial?
Yeah, you got it.
You know what I'm trying to say? The authorial voice. You being like your own voice, you shaping your own voice through what it really speaks to you. But for example, would you do a car commercial, or
Yeah, we all need the
go into
checks.
another category? You know what I mean?
We need to get paid too, you know? So it's like there's definitely a lot of commercial work.
I think we need to talk about like how one gets paid in this industry to make it a sustainable one, right?
And that means that I also do a lot of stuff that's not on my reel. Like, that's like, I do a ton of beauty work. I do a ton of fashion work. Like, those are things that I'll do it, but then, yeah, I enjoy it. I love being on set. I love working with people. I find I've done like 2 years of like doing Amex commercials, you know?
Thank you, Amex.
And it's a lot of fun. And, you know, those things I'm not like using to totally shape what like I think other stuff, so I don't get totally known for it, but like you still want to be able to be considered for that. So like the things that like a general audience is seeing on my Instagram, or like, you know, I don't really even post that much, is not the stuff that like then when you're starting to develop like agency relationships that they will know you for, right? Or you're having like working relationships with other directors that do certain niche things. Like, you have those relationships already and you don't need to be necessarily known for them. Curating is very important in this day and age.
I was also gonna say, I think back to your question of how do you get out of it if you do feel like you're getting boxed in. I think there's a real thing, which is making genuine connections in the industry that you work with for people to give you the opportunity when you don't have that portfolio to show. Say you are known, you've been sort of, for whatever reason, you've fallen into doing a certain type of work that you want to get out of, but you don't have the portfolio to show that you can do other stuff. And it's that catch-22, like kind of when you're out of college and every job is like, you need 2 years of experience and you're like, I just graduated. I think making genuine connections and meeting people that you genuinely connect with so that they can give you an opportunity at some point to take that leap of faith and give you the job that is outside of your portfolio, but maybe they believe in you. I think that's important, because there is a real thing where you might be trying and we can say all the platitudes that you want to hear, but you're like, I'm trying and I can't get out of it. And I think sometimes you need someone to give you the opportunity, someone that's above you, someone that has more power. And so trying to make good connections in that world so that happens for you.
Yeah, I mean, making connections, guys, that's what we're doing here, right? Am I right? Yeah, exactly. And I think, Jackie, you touched on something really interesting, which is the idea of getting paid. And I think that's probably something that everyone in this room is thinking about. How do we get paid in this job, in this space? And so I think I want to talk about the idea of a passion project versus paying your rent. And I think specifically for you, Steph, too, as a production designer, this is something that is you have to put a lot of passion and a lot of creativity into your work. So I want to know for everybody, but also for you, you know, where do you draw the line of like passion project versus I need to pay my rent this month? And even in the paying the rent projects, how do you bring your own passion into it?
Good question. I think this kind of idea shifts with time. So obviously when you start, a lot of your projects are going to be passion projects or are going to be projects that you're just doing because you want to build a portfolio and you want to build connections. And I think just with time, you try to, you know, draw a line where you decide like, okay, this is the stuff that I want to be doing because I'm interested in it, and this is stuff I want to be doing because it pays my bills, and this is the stuff that I'm absolutely not going to do. But, you know, you also like do a lot of things that, like we said, like you just never show on your reel, and you just do it, you know, to pay the bills. So I think, yeah, it's just something that will come with time and experience. And I think you start being more selective, you know, the sort of like more time goes on in your career, I think. But everyone does both, I would say.
Definitely. I think I'm accidentally going to feed into that horrible grind culture. But for me, it was just working my fucking ass off all the time and making stuff with my friends. I made this like weird foot porn video because I really wanted to, and I met with this like amazing nail artist, and I was like, I need 5 looks for feet. And
everyone's on Google right now being like, Millicent,
what is
porn.
This horrible foot? And I just got my friends together and I was like, right, we're going to do this video and we're going to have some feet stamping in some food. Does anyone want to do this? And everyone said no. And I was like, wow, we're fucking doing it. It's going to be great. And then I made it, and I mean, it was awful. She was like stamping in cold spaghetti, but like with the meat sauce, and it was just like stomach churning. But it looked great. You know, but it's just things like that. I was just doing, you know, I always do things like that. Just see something and think, well, I'm going to fucking make that, I'm going to do it, and just do it with your friends. Shoot it on an iPhone. Shoot it. It was on like the shittiest digital camera that I still use because it makes me look hot because it's really pixelated. But it's just that, and then putting it online and sending it to people and just being fucking cringe and sending it to random people like, hey, do you want to see my new cool foot video? You know, sometimes people are like, I don't want to see that, but other people are like, oh, that's cool, I guess. Send me what else you have, if you know, and it opens another door. Like, you know, you send it to a magazine or whatever. Maybe they don't want your weird foot video, but maybe they'll commission you for something else. You know, they see your drive and see that you're interesting or have an interesting point of view, and then it sort of spirals from there. That's my perspective.
Yeah, and I think, can we also talk about passion projects? Your feature is about to premiere at South by Southwest, so can we? So I would love to, don't be shy. I'm shy. Don't be shy. I would love to talk about, you know, for you, that's obviously a huge passion project. So can you touch on a little bit of that, what it was for you, how that happened? I'm
very accidentally chaotic in that I'll wake up one day and I'm like, right, I'm doing this now. And that kind of happened with the film where my uncle kept introducing me at his wedding as like something else, and was getting, you know, like calling me a producer and saying I did a music video for Billie Eilish. I'm neither, and I've not ever done that, and it annoyed me. And I kept correcting.
Uncle was manifesting.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know, that's not me. I don't know who that girl is, but it's not me. So then I was like, right, Stuart, like later on when I'm all drunk, I'm like, Stuart, you're gonna tell everyone I'm a film director. He's like, what have you done a film? I'm like, no, it's gonna happen. It's going to be fine. Just tell everyone I'm a movie star, I'm a movie director. And then it was just born from a drunken wedding where I'm like, right, this is what's going on now. So I honestly think that I've just stumbled into a lot of things, but it's the delusion that has helped me, has like the chaos and the delusion, just deciding one day we're going to do this and we're going to make it fucking amazing. It's going to be the best thing anyone's ever seen. Whether or not you believe it really in your soul, probably not, but you've just got to carry on with that and be like, everyone is going to be so excited. And then, I think the more my friend told me this, wait, I forgot the fucking saying.
Had an impact.
Too many tequilas for me. It was basically saying something like, the more you just say it and believe it and tell yourself that's what you're doing, then it's like manifestation. And as an English person, we're so cynical and that's so cringe and bullshit. But I led with that, and that's what's helped, is just doing things and believing and saying that it's real. And saying everyone loves it, even if it might be total trash.
South by loves it, so we love it.
South by,
congratulations.
Like it, yeah.
Anybody else want to touch on a little bit of passion project versus paying the rent? Where do you guys draw that line? What's that balance for you?
I don't know. I feel like I love passion projects. It's like my favorite thing ever. And, it used to be just pick up a camera, or you're a student, or you just have an iPhone. And now it's slowly, low key, I need to slow down because I do commercial projects. And I'm like, that, I learned a lot from it, but it also sometimes sucks your soul just a tiny bit. And I will just go out and not pay rent and actually do a passion project, which don't recommend, but also kind of recommend it.
I agree.
Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like passion project, where you can and whatever that looks like to you, just to go for it. And like, we all hopefully came into this because we love it, or we love storytelling, or we have something to say. And I feel like that's the only way to kind of keep exploring that voice. And I try to do it as much as I can.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the time, passion projects is what really fits the portfolio that you want to have.
Yeah.
So I think it also keeps your mental health. It keeps you from becoming a little cynical, where like, you're just in this momentum of doing work because you have to pay rent, or like, when you're not getting to satisfy your creative side. Like, everyone here is creative and have artistic needs. You have ideas that you want to express the purest form of, and you don't get to do it on commercials because the idea can get erosioned or diluted. Sometimes in music videos, if the artist is very controlling, you don't get to explore it fully there either. So then it's some passion projects where you're like, let's try this fun thing, or let's try this crazy thing. And that's what, sometimes builds your portfolio or makes you do, like, we love passion projects.
Yeah.
It's crazy because we're like, okay, we have a company, we need to we have people who, work with us, and, it's a big mechanism, but we never lose track of like, we want to do this because this is beautiful and this is what excites us and this is what engages us,
Yeah, I feel like you do enough passion projects and then you're like, okay, I gotta pay my bills. And then you do that for a little bit and you're like, okay, I kind of want to do something that I, feel strongly for. And then you do some passion projects and then you just bounce around a little bit. But it's like doing the jobs that pay the bills then also makes you want to do more passion stuff.
And it gives you money to pay for the passion project.
Correct. Yes.
I feel like recently I've tried to reframe commercial projects, and I know you spoke a little bit about this too, but just I've kind of tried to take jobs when I can. Obviously, when you need to take a job, you need to take a job. But if there's something I can learn from it, and I feel like as a DP, like was never the most technical DP, and I was very narrative based, and I feel like recently I've started to take commercial projects and gotten excited about learning something new about lighting, or working with a new team, or even communicating with like an agency. And those are all just like tools that I now have and that excite me, because it's just, I feel like I came into this industry, yes, for storytelling, but also for every day to not feel like a 9 to 5 and not feel like I'm just making it through and doing the same thing over and over again. So if I try and just take jobs that have something new to teach me. Yeah.
Yeah. I think looking at everything as a learning opportunity is like such a skill you have to develop, but is so valuable in this field. So it's awesome. I think something else we kind of touched on a little bit is building the portfolio that you want to have and presenting yourself in that way with your portfolio. And I think probably for a lot of filmmakers here, they might be early building a portfolio or pre-portfolio entirely. So I want you guys to speak a little bit to how did you believe in yourself and your vision pre-portfolio? And now as you continue to level up, how do you continue believing in yourself and believing in where that portfolio can go?
Delusion for me.
I agree with that.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
total delusion. I still absolutely fucking hate my portfolio. I'm so embarrassed. But I just tell everyone it's great and that's it. You know, delusion. That's my answer to everything from now on.
Actually, I was gonna comment on what you were saying earlier. When you were saying like, yeah, I would just like call myself a director, because I have met some very successful and work for very successful creative male people in this industry. And you know something that they have that I admire, and it can be a little problematic, but they have this delusional belief in themselves to the point where I'm like, it borderlines a little bit on narcissism. But dude,
It's
literally,
not fucking borderline.
it's like it's narcissist. You know what I'm trying to be? I'm just screaming. It's not borderline. You know, it is a little. It's narcissistic. But you know what? They literally they're like, no, you know, I couldn't find other reference but my past work. I am my own reference. Or people who are like, I would be so lucky if I could hire myself, like the younger version of me. But you know what? They do have amazing work. And I always wonder, observing this, I'm like, what's, you know, the chicken and the egg? What's first, the delusion, or were they just so damn good that they knew it? I don't know. But I wonder if sometimes you fake it till you make it, and you're
There's
just
a vision.
delusional about it, you will fucking do it, because I feel like you create this narrative around yourself and this for yourself and everyone around you, and then you just like. So I agree on the delusion. I think delusion is very necessary to do what we all do.
I think also if you're not like delusional about yourself, or you don't have like this crazy strong belief of like I am the best, you just gotta believe that whatever you're creating is the best and it's worth making. And I feel like no idea is too crazy, and some producers might disagree with that, but I feel like that's how you get your first project done. Like just put it on paper, bring it to someone, and that person fucking might believe in it, you know? And then you just gotta truly believe like we need to do this because this is gonna be a great piece of work, and it just might be, you know?
You're right. I want to redeem myself here because you're totally right. It's not like I am the best, I'm hot shit. It's this idea is fucking amazing and it's worth making. Let me just set the record straight here. I think I'm a piece of shit, but
But then to commit to the idea when like it's hard, like not everyone. It's like what you were saying. You can knock on many doors and people are gonna be like, so then how do you have that? You have to carry that
Conviction.
with yourself, you know, that belief. And that you have to be so covenant and committed that this idea works, that this is worth telling something, you know, that
I think it's easier, at least for me, to detach myself from the idea and be like, this is fucking brilliant. I might not be, but this is brilliant and it's worth doing. You know what I mean? And I think that passion, it's also contagious. And like, that's literally what, you know, pitching a project is. Like, someone might not understand everything you're even saying, but if you just say it with enough conviction and enough passion, that energy is contagious and people will just fucking believe you, you know?
yeah. And no, I agree with you. And I also think obviously this is just on the side of like, how do you, I think it's in order to gain a little bit of confidence while you're building the portfolio. Obviously, you also gotta show that you have the work to speak for what you're saying, right? Like the portfolio has to catch up eventually to your delusion, and you have to be like, you see, I told you.
Will eventually catch up.
It's not just me.
yeah, but it's hard though. Following what you said, it's like separating the idea and being like, believe in my idea instead of me. But I don't know. I think we don't talk enough about like sometimes you are the brand and people want to buy into you and they don't really give a fuck about what you're making as long as like they believe in you. So that's a whole nother pressure that I'm experiencing too, because it really does come in different ways. It's either the idea is great or fuck the idea, I just want to work with this person because they seem this way, you know, and maybe you're not that way at all. But that's what they're buying into as well. So that's also fucking exhausting. Both of it's exhausting.
It's a whole different layer, I feel like.
It's a whole nother thing. Yeah.
And because I'm a director DP, I'll give a perspective from below the line as well, where I think directors have actually an advantage in this field because they can say, I have an idea, and they can be delusional and get a bunch of people to be excited about it with them and do it. But as a DP, sometimes you need like the first, you know, I don't know, film or the first commercial, like you know, like because it's like we're also working in a much more like technical thing where people want like proof that you can do it. And I'll say for me, like the way that I was able to build a portfolio kind of quickly was getting on a lot of photo sets. And all these photo sets now needed this like motion component. It was like around that time. And so I was just able to shoot a lot of motion on fashion shoots. And then it looked really elevated. It looked like it had very good design. It had like, you know, it looked polished, I think, in this way. And I needed very minimal crew. And then so from there, you can start getting bigger and bigger jobs.
Yeah, I would say fashion for DPs, and probably a lot of people, but definitely is a space in the commercial area where you can explore almost like low-key, you can do narrative in fashion. Like you can make it anything that you want. And I also think like a brand, if you do find small brands, like you tell their story and you can find creative ways to do that, and it doesn't cost a lot of money, and you can just do whatever you want, and there's not a million people, you know, trying to fight to get their voice in there. And so I think fashion's a great place for especially cinematography. I don't know about production design, but I'm sure that might be.
Well, the tricky part about production design is like you need money to make anything, and people don't understand how expensive things are in production design. So it's really hard to build a good portfolio without the backing, like financial backing of bigger brands, but then bigger brands tell you what to do and it's not necessarily what you want to be doing. So it's kind of like a chicken egg situation. You can't just like come up being like, hey, my name is Steph and I want to do this for you. Like people are like, and this is gonna cost like $50,000, and they're like, well, we don't give a shit about you, who even are you, you know? And then so for me, it was kind of, I mean, I kind of had to like build my portfolio through working with my friends who I really respect and like, you know, like musicians and like artists and people that have smaller brands, and be like, okay, let's make something weird and like cool that people will gravitate to, and hopefully other brands, you know, will follow and like will give us more money to make other stuff. And like, you never know what people like gravitate to. Like I speak to like, you know, huge brands like juice commercials or whatever, like Apple and all these people, and they literally pick like the randomest thing I did 10 years ago, being like, we want to make our brand cool now and we need this. And you're like, okay, cool, I'm glad I did this, you know, random music video in a basement for like $500 with my friend, you know, that really landed me an Apple commercial now, you know? And you just never know. But the funny thing about production design is like people don't realize like, you know, how involved everything is. So it's really hard to like kind of communicate that to like a client.
But how are you handling that? Are you just a hoarder? You know, you probably just have like a room
That's what people
filled
think,
to the brim of shit that you can just bring to everything now, you know?
No, honestly, that's what people think. But honestly, I'm like a one and done kind of girl. Like once it's over, it's over.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh no, I'd panic. I'd be like, I need this scrap of material.
I never want to see this thing again. Thank you.
I think it's so interesting what you said about, you know, you never know. You really never do know. And I think what you said too, Yamela, about how it can be, you have to commit to yourself. You have to really like commit to not only your idea, but who you are as a person and what your role is. And I think something that might resonate for a lot of these filmmakers is that it can be so hard to commit when you don't think that there's a clear path to success. And we know that, you know, the path is not linear. It's not very clear. You might have to do a lot of different things to get to the place that you want to be in. So I think how do you know when you're on the right path as a filmmaker versus how do you know when to say, I need to reset and go in another direction?
Delusion.
I agree. No, I feel like it is at the beginning, especially, it's delusion. And then I think you start seeing like glimmers of hope or just like how satisfying it is after a project that you worked so hard on. And it's whether it's received the way that you wanted it or like you feel really good about it. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's hard.
I feel like you don't really know until you look back, you know? I feel like a few years go like past and you're like, oh, wow, I made a great decision 2 years ago, you know? Or like whatever that looks like. And I think a little bit of that, it's also like, I guess seeing some sort of reaction, you know, from either, you know, people or jobs or whatever it is. But I feel, at least for me, it's a lot of just following your intuition and connecting with the right people and like building with the people that feel right. And that's also like personal connections. But yeah, it's also just a little bit of like trusting the process and then looking back and being like, wow, I made a really great decision like 5 months ago.
I just feel like I really resonate with like, you never know if you're on the right path. Like in the moment, there's just no way to know. And so I think the thing is to really dig in and be present and find something that you're really invested, or you like that is the path, is just to be as committed and invested in every single project. So you just know that you're always kind of giving 100%, like a little bit.
I agree. I think there's sort of a two routes. If you know what you want to do in the industry, like you know for sure, or at least you think you know what you want to do, and then there's people that kind of are kind of thinking about different positions or maybe don't know quite exactly what they want to do. And I think those are different paths, because if you kind of already know what you want to do, I think, well, actually on both, I would say when you're young, you don't. I think when you're starting out, it's very hard to discern if you're making the right choice, if you're not, because you don't have the experience to know what is a good decision, who is a good person to work with. You know, that's going to come with experience and with time. But I think when I was starting out, I was saying yes to a lot of things because I didn't have the experience and I didn't know what was right and what was not right. And I think when you're starting out, saying yes to things that feel, obviously, if you have a bad vibe about someone or you genuinely in your gut feeling don't think that it's a good idea, you should say no. But I would say yes, and don't ever, I think, act out of fear or imposter syndrome or think that you're not good enough for it, because everyone starts out with no experience and you just get the opportunity to say yes. You learn how to do it in the moment, and as you say yes to different things and doing as many things as you can do is how you discern eventually, well, that was a bad decision. That was amazing. And that was amazing. Maybe the idea was bad, but I met this incredible person and now I have a company with them. Or now this is, you know, a director I work with all the time, even though that project was shit. Like there's so many successes that can come out of an opportunity. That doesn't have to be that the project itself was good or that it's your best work. It can be a connection. It can be, there's so many things about it that can be a good thing for your career, that I think when you're starting out, saying yes a lot is a good thing. Being open to opportunities, even being open to positions that you maybe don't necessarily think you do, because you might, Yam has a good story about how she started. She was interested in a lot of things before she became a producer. So I think saying yes is a good thing, because I personally think that when you're starting out, you don't know necessarily how to discern what's good and what's a good decision and what isn't.
I also think you shouldn't be scared of being in the wrong path. Like, you're gonna die one day, and then you're gonna die not think. Like, imagine you never made all this like explorations in life. Like, you know, at the same time, like, life is gonna finish and end one day. Just do whatever you wanna do. Trust it, give it your all, give it your best, and don't regret it, because you're gonna learn something from it, as Vero said, whether it's what the outcome you wanted or not. But then at the same time, you know that you allowed yourself to explore and to fully give yourself to something. And what a more delicious way to live life than be like, I gave it my all.
Yeah.
Even if later on I pivoted, you know?
Yeah, it has to be a full send, I feel. And I also like resonate with what Veronica was saying, because I think it is important to find real connections. Like, I think it is important to not forget that, like, you can make like long life friends in this industry, and you can all build together. And whenever you might be like, oh my God, am I in the right path? It's nice to look, to your left and find your community and be like, I don't know, but we'll keep it going, and that's how you build stronger relationships. And I don't know, I think it's also nice to have people that like believe in you. And that's how, you feel supported.
So much of it, I don't know if I'm on the right path ever, I don't know if I'm doing the right thing, but the thing that has guided me a lot is working with people that I'm inspired by, people that I feel comfortable around, people that allow me to sort of feel like I can get my voice out, like, and
100%.
like it's almost community that's helped, like choosing community is sort of been a guiding force.
It makes
Not
it
like
fun,
not
too.
necessarily projects, it's actually people that I want to work with.
Real.
Yeah, it's funny. 'Cause I'm like so pragmatic, so my thing is gonna be completely different. Like, I feel like for me, the way of figuring out if I am on the right path or the path I want to be in this present moment is like just having set goals. Like, it can be any sort of goals. Like, it can be like a financial goal. It can be like, okay, I want to work with this director. I want to work with this production company, this artist, whatever. And just like literally write it down and, like set myself like a year and just be like, okay, I'm just going to do this year. And then you look back and you just like check your boxes, be like, okay, I've done this. And maybe next year is going to be something completely different. But at least I can just like hold myself accountable for like all the time that I've spent in my trajectory, and then just be like, okay, I've done it now. How do I feel about it? I feel different. I feel great. Like, I don't know, but it's like a really good way for me to track like my progress.
Yeah, definitely. And it sounds like the
ADHD, hello,
answer is
guys.
maybe you will never know if you're on the right path or not, but you have to just trust yourself and know that if you trust yourself fully, you will put yourself on the right path. So I think that's a great thing to live by.
Maybe there's no right path,
No right path. Many paths. All
That
are
is a
right, maybe
concept.
all are wrong. We
Or
don't know.
the wrong path can have great outcomes too. Like, don't be afraid of being on the wrong path,
There's
whatever
no
that
right
is.
Right.
or wrong. We're not in a binary world.
They're all just paths.
They're all just paths, and
You
then
can
you
go
have to
down
make the
them or
most
not.
of the path that is in front of you.
Yeah. Okay, I love that. Okay, I know everybody kind of hates the one piece of advice question, but I want to know from everybody, what is one piece of advice or maybe one lesson that you learned, whether you learned it a hard way or whether someone taught it to you early on in your career, that has stuck with you the entire time or that you take with you into every job?
I guess I could start. I recently was talking about this actually, but when I was in high school and loved filmmaking, I reached out to the DP of It Follows, which was a horror movie, a micro budget horror film that I really align with, and also was just like, wow, you can make movies for nothing and tell an incredible story. But he kind of told me to, if you can and have the luxury to, and obviously everyone, has to survive and everything, but to not focus too young on making money, and also like if you can just create, because he essentially was saying that if you get caught in a lifestyle, or you can make money quickly sometimes from commercials or even positions that maybe aren't your favorite position, and that it will be more difficult to like give that up if the right story comes along. And I feel like I recently thought about that because I, was able to do a feature, but it was a passion project. And I kind of had to slow down and be like, is this a story that's worth telling for me? And am I willing to kind of give up this month or 2 months to dive into it? And I feel like I wouldn't have been able to do that if I kind of let that part of myself go by getting too caught up. And I think that can look like anything in any form. But for me, I was like, okay, don't let go of the part of you, even if it doesn't make a lot of money, and like be willing to kind of grind it out a little bit. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think one for me that has stuck with me is progress isn't linear. It's not a straight line. And I've heard that a lot in like social political context of, the world is a dumpster fire and how are we where we are and everything's horrible and how do we get out of bed, which is true, but humanity as a whole is better now than it's ever been, and it feels like we're going back, but we're actually going forward. It's just clunky. And I think that applies to progress in every aspect. And in our industry too, you might feel like you got a big job and it's amazing and it's gonna, bring a lot of other good work, and all of a sudden you're not working for 2 months and you think, I thought I was moving forward. But I think that true progress over a long period of time really comes with you take 1 step forward, 3 back, 2 forward, 7 back, 10 forward, and when you're in it, it can be not depressing, but it can be hard to accept when things aren't going your way. But I think if you keep working hard, remember that progress is not linear. And it happened to me as a producer, and owning a business is a whole different beast. And owning a business is a lot of you're moving forward and you're doing really well, and then there's so many aspects where that can take you back, then you move forward again. And so that progress isn't linear to me. It's something that has always stuck, and it's good to remember it too.
Definitely.
I think for me is that every L you take, it's a lesson at the end of the day. And I think it's like, progress isn't linear. It's like a part of that. It's like in the moment, it's gonna feel probably like it's gonna suck. But at the end of the day, if you can learn from that lesson and try to be better the next time, that's all you can do. And that is what like growth looks like at the end of the day too. So like trying to not be too hard on yourself when you're taking an L, and with your team too. Like I feel like there has to be some sort of grace when you're like, in the eye of the storm, with yourself and with the people around you that are working with you. And then next time, just try to avoid that L as much as you can.
Avoid the L's. I think for me, what was like really important is once you like find what you want to do, or like what you want to do at the time, just try and position yourself in a place where you're surrounded by the people that do something that you do or adjacent to you. So like, let's say you want to be production designer. I don't know. I worked as an agent representing production designers before I started production design, which allowed me also to understand like the other side of things and how the industry works in general. Meet production designers, meet agents, meet producers. Then that for you can be anything else. You can like work in a prop house and like, like meet the production designers that way, but just like position yourself in that world and meet the people that work there and understand what they do and what they need, because everyone else needs something else. Like a producer is going to need something, like a DP needs something, an agent needs something. If you understand like how all these things work, you'll be a better person to be around, and like you'll be able to like just really connect with everybody, and also just like find opportunities, because you'll be assisting someone, or you'll be like for me, like I was, an agent, and then I was like, I actually want to be a production designer, so forget that. And then I already had like a huge network of people, that I could like assist and talk to, and the opportunity just came. So yeah, that's why.
You see, no wrong paths. Not because you were an agent, you couldn't then be a production designer.
Very bad agent.
I had another one in mind, but you just made me think of something. I always try to surround myself of people who stimulate me so much, who either do something I haven't done or do what I want to do, but so much better. Just like people who really stimulate me creatively, intellectually, people who challenge me. Like, what they say, you never want to be the smartest person in the room, but it's true. You always want to be challenged by what others have done and inspired by it. And also,
that's why she's next to me all the time. I inspire her all the time.
That's absolutely true. Yes, that is right. I would have never made a company with someone that I didn't admire, of course. And then the other one is very like pragmatic, I would say. It's just like in an era where like everything is reproduced and repetitive, like a lot of images are repeated. Everything is the reference of the reference of the reference. How do you protect your visual habits? How do you protect what you consume as directors, as production designers, as cinematographers, like as producers? How do we like really curate what we're consuming, and absorbing subconsciously, and also discerning, not just absorbing, but discerning, having like having like, ¿cómo se dice juicio crítico? Como, yeah, have critical thinking with what you're consuming, basically.
Yeah, definitely. Any closing thoughts, Jerky, Millicent?
I think it's a little bit to have grounding, right? Like, I think this career can get quite often intertwined with one's identity and ego, and to have things outside of work, you know, like, because it's such a marathon of a career, and like part of this is also having really slow times, along with times where you're only doing work. So it's just a really abnormal pacing for life, you know? And I think having grounding, having things outside of work that bring joy, and remembering that this is just part of your life, it's not all of it.
Yeah, great. I would say for me, it's been the most important to fucking listen to people that have been doing this way longer than myself. And that's usually also ADs. I see Lane backlit over there, my AD on the film. And yeah, I mean, it's just being open to learning all the time, forevermore. And I think it's also really important. My DP Kasusha should be here, maybe, I don't know. And she taught me this, like, never be afraid to say you don't know something. Don't be embarrassed to be like, listen, I don't know what the fuck is going on. I don't know what you're talking about when you're like, put a 35 on the fucking Zeiss, whatever. I don't know what that means. I still don't. Lane will tell you, I had no idea. But I'm learning and I'm trying my best. Still don't know what a 50 lens looks like, but it's okay. But it's like, it doesn't matter. If you've got a vision and you're nice and you're not a cunt, just go forth and tell people, please help me. You know, let's do this together. Just don't be embarrassed to not know what's going on or what you're doing. Always ask for help. It's fine. It's more cringe and more shit to pretend that you know something and then do it, and then it fucks up and everyone's like, what? This could have been avoided. And it's because you were an asshole and you were like, I know, and you didn't. It's okay. And I'm like that every day, where I'm always asking people, I don't know what that means. What does martini mean at the end of this? Do we get martinis? I don't know. Please.
Need a drink?
I need a drink.
Well, on that note, can we give it up for these incredible filmmakers? I feel so much smarter, and I hope you guys do too. These guys are here to network just as much as you guys are. So please come and talk to them after the panel, ask them about their projects and how wonderful they are. And I think I'm passing it off to No Storage for a little cap off.
Can we get up for our panelists one more time? And our moderator, Abby Wright.
I'm Amanda Maddox.
And I'm Mary. Sorry, Mary Grieving. I just wanted to shout out some wonderful people that this event could not have been possible without. That's why I have these note cards. I don't want to forget anyone. Our event coordinator, Wei Marie. Our AV director, Aman Mushtaq. Our photographer, Becca Foster. Our videographer, Will Gunlack. Our event lighting director, Taylor Widener. Our PD team, Bella Monge and Natasha Parvu. Our DJ, Maya Davis. Our zine designer, Christine Pack. Make sure you get a zine. They're on the table in the back. Our amazing G&E team, Joel D., Zohar Varadi, Gabrielle Millman, and Reese Bobo. And last but certainly not least, our amazing volunteers, Natalia Pacheco, Gabriela Diaz, Malijah Hopkins, Isabel Leonard, Emily and Abby Egan, Avery DeBunka, and Rohan Chagani. Thank you all so much for donating your time and effort. We love you guys.
Guys, thank you so much for coming. When we were getting ready for this event, I was telling the NSP girls, I was like remembering back the first
like pre-COVID when I moved here, and it was like before I was part of No Storage. I was trying to get any film job in the industry that I could, as we all do when we moved to LA. And my very first job was PAing for a reality show. And literally day one, first set ever, this guy comes in, the exec producer, and in one hand, he's like pointing to all the PAs, yelling at them to like go to run to Starbucks, get him a tea, because like the tea brand in the green room he didn't like. And then literally in his other hand, he's holding a tiny white dog. And I was like, that's it. This is the stereotype of the industry that they warned us about. It's happening in real life. And then everyone moved to LA, and we formed No Storage LA version. And we were like, we are gonna do sets differently. We're gonna have cool people that wanna come back to set and work together. And now the majority of the sets that we work on are women, queer people, and cool men that get it. Thank you, cool men that get it. You guys are necessary too, cool men that get it. Thank you. So now when I'm on a job and I interact with an insane person who has a crazy unhinged request, and they're like, this is just the way we do it in the industry, sorry. I'm like, no, you're actually the outlier. This is the way that we do it in the industry now. This is the community. That's why we wanted to have this event. So thank you, Abby. Thank you, our panelists, and thank you for being here. Now make sure that you put your tickets in the raffle, the yellow tickets. Do that, take a zine, get a drink, and we'll have raffle very soon. Thank you.
And tip your bartenders. Tip your partner. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Good night.